Stanley the Snowman. Value: the story of Hanukkah. Aman wrote a very fun little Christmas song called Frosty the Snowman, and you all know it pretty well. Why don't you sing a little of it, because I'll tell you the true story of Frosty the Snowman. All done? Good. Well, what you don't know, most of the Christmas stories you know about, even the silly ones, started as a true story, but the songwriters changed them some so they make good songs. Well, that's especially true with the story of Frosty. But his name wasn't Frosty, it was Stanley. You have to admit, Stanley the Snowman was a jolly happy soul. Sounds pretty silly. Stanley was built by Jack and Susan and their dad 2 days before Christmas. Jack was in 4th grade, and Susan was in 5th. And they made sure Stanley had lots of good clothes to wear and extra good things for his eyes, nose, and mouth. See, their daddy told them that an ancient custom tells us that if you make a snowman realistic enough, he will come to life. It's not a bad theory. This Christmas, you and your family see if you make a super good snowman, and you might have an adventure like the one I'm about to tell you. Stanley did come to life that night. Dad waited up and watched him begin to step out on his new snow legs and begin to explore the world. Your dad is aware of a lot of magic he hasn't told you about yet, so listen when he tells his stories. They are all true. Stanley didn't just dance around all night long, though. Before Jack and Susan met him Christmas Eve day, he had built a very nice snowman home, a little house for a snow dog, if Jack and Susan were to make him one, and a snow car, although it didn't actually drive. Jack and Susan were pretty shy when they got up early that morning and saw Stanley happily making his house. Finally, Jack led Susan out to meet the magical snowman. "Hello?" Jack said timidly. "Hello isn't a question," Stanley said, and he put his big snow head back and laughed. "You are alive, just like Daddy said," Susan said. "How can it be?" she gasped, still a little afraid. "Well, Susan," Stanley explained, "every Christmas there is so much magic and miracle power in the air because of the coming of Christ. Some of it leaks out onto silly snowmen like me." He bowed low, bending at his snowman waist. "I am Stanley. I am here to play with you." "Hooray!" the children yelled, and they stopped being afraid and ran and played with Stanley with all their might. Stanley was pretty good at finding games, and they rode on his shoulders as he went all over town, meeting their friends and teachers and the minister at their church, too. "I have heard of the Christmas miracle," Pastor Kelly said, "but you are a whole different kind of miracle, aren't you, Stanley?" He laughed. As the sun went down, it was finally Christmas Eve. Jack and Susan sipped hot cocoa Mommy had made inside of Stanley's wonderful snowman house. "You are the best Christmas present ever, Stanley," Susan said as she hugged his neck, getting snow on her cheeks. "But there are so many wonderful presents to have, Susan. What would be the best present in the whole world?" Stanley asked. "I don't know, Stanley," Jack said, feeling confused a little. "Well, let's go see," the magical snowman said. Just like that, they were flying through the night sky just like Santa, but holding on to Stanley's snow hands for all they could. They stopped at a big palace of a mighty king. "These children have a castle, and they are princes and princesses. Maybe I should make you the king's kids for a Christmas present," he said loudly, so the guards nearby got nervous. "No," Susan said shyly, "I wouldn't be able to run and play with everyone. Just other princesses. I wouldn't like that. Show us more." And Stanley did. They flew like the wind, passing birds and airplanes and knocking on the windows to spell out Merry Christmas in the frost as they flew next to them, going wherever Stanley wanted to go. They saw children who got wonderful stables full of horses, Others that got starring roles in the best movies just because their parents were powerful and rich. They even met children who wished to become an eagle and fly high in the sky, or any animal they wanted, and the magic of Christmas made it all so. Stanley said because of the powerful magic of Christmas, all of these things could be theirs. Jack and Susan loved the wonderful travel and seeing so many amazing and exotic things, but finally Susan said, "Stanley, can we go home?" Back in their backyard, Stanley served them cookies in his little home again.
"But why don't you want the most expensive presents and ponies and all these things? After all, Christmas brings that kind of magic,"
he asked. "Well," Jack said, "the more we flew, the more I knew it wouldn't be Christmas unless it was with our mommy and our daddy in our little house with regular presents. Somehow, those presents don't mean Christmas to me." "Me too, Stanley. Something was missing from all that, and that thing, whatever it is, makes Christmas wonderful."
"Then I know the most special present of all that will make Christmas more special than ever before,"
Stanley said with a big snowman smile, and he clapped his hands. Instantly, Jack and Susan were in a stable. They saw Mary and Joseph looking down, and then Joseph signaled that it was their turn to look. "Jack," Susan said, gasping with awe and wonder at where they were, "it's the baby Jesus!" And they stepped up and looked down at his innocent eyes and his sweet smile. Jack even reached down and stroked his cheek. For his whole life, Jack never forgot how the skin of the newborn Savior felt. Outside of the stable, they ran to Stanley. "This is the present that is better than any we have seen tonight," Jack said happily.
"That's because God gave this present to give us life that can never end,"
Stanley explained.
"Horses would go away, mansions would decay, toys would break, or you would grow out of all those things. But life eternal is something you will never stop using."
"It feels like it really is Christmas now, Stanley," Susan said loudly, and with that, they were instantly on their porch. "You knew all along that nothing could compare with Jesus for the best Christmas present ever, didn't you?" Jack said to Stanley.
"Yes, Jack, and I knew you knew it too. It was fun having an adventure. But now it's time to worship the newborn king."
"But we don't want you to go, Stanley," Susan said with a small sob.
"I won't be far away. Next Christmas, build a snowman twice as good, and we will have adventures 100 times better than these. But just like this Christmas Eve, we will end each night worshiping Jesus for saving all people from their sins."
"Hooray!" the kids shouted, and they gave final snowy kisses and hugs to their wonderful friend, and ran inside to get on their best Christmas outfits to go to church and truly praise Jesus for coming to fill their lives with love and the joy of Christmas every year.